Welcome back to Just Scrap Radio on BJPenn.com. I'm your host, Cole Shelton. Episode 88. We got a good line for you ahead of UFC 277. First up, we're going to be joined by women's fight, Maycee Barber. Obviously, a bit after her fight at UFC 276. Kind of catch up with her about the win against Jessica Ai, her thoughts on Shevchenko, Misha Tate's flyweight debut, because we did that about a day after that event. So, really good chat with Maycee and kind of talk about her being a free agent, kind of what she kind of wants is contract negotiating, when she's kind of looking to get back in there. We're then going to be joined by Alex Morono to preview his fight against Matt Semmelsberger. This is headlining the prelims. This has potential to be fight of the night. Both guys are very good strikers, don't like backing down. Morono fighting close to home in Texas again. He's really looking forward to this one, and he knows this is a very fun fight on paper. And he thinks a win over Matt could really start getting some respect on his name and maybe get him a ranked opponent. We're then going to be joined by Drakkar Klose to preview his fight against Rafa Garcia. Obviously, Drakkar was supposed to fight Diego Ferreira. Disappointing news for Drakkar. He just wanted to remain on the card. Rafa Garcia stepped up, so that's why he's getting that fight. And obviously, not a whole lot of notice for Drakkar, but he just thinks he has all the skills to win this fight. And we also talked about his girlfriend Courtney Casey losing another controversial split decision, what he kind of thinks of that fight, and where kind of Courtney goes from here. And then we close things out talking to Orion Cosce, who's actually opening up the card against Blood Diamond. Obviously, this is Adesanya's teammate. His UFC debut did not go to plan, got taken down, and submitted early against Jeremiah Wells. Orion thinks his wrestling's going to be able to play a big role in this one, but he also wants to kind of test out that kickboxing against Blood Diamond. But he knows a win over him with Blood Diamond having all this hype is really good for his career, and he's looking forward to getting that first UFC win. But be sure to share the show, subscribe, and tune in next week for another episode of Just Scrap Radio. All right, we're joined by Maycee Barber, who's coming off that win over Jessica Ai. Maycee, how's it going?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing well. Like, obviously, what, 2 weeks now since the fight? 3 weeks? Like,
Yeah,
how are you
two.
kind of
Yeah,
feeling after that? After, obviously, it was a pretty one-sided fight and beating a very well-known girl in Jessica Ai.
I feel great. I felt really good in there. I came out healthy. I've been dealing with like a rib issue like for gosh since before my fight with Montana, and so I've had like 3 different injections in my rib just to like make it through camp, and then finally, coming out, I'm like I still can't tell if my rib is like hurt or not hurt because I had a cortisone injection, so I can't feel it. But other than that, I feel great. I'm healthy, and it was a good win, and I'm really happy for that.
And what was it like for you to be back and fighting in front of fans again?
Oh, I loved it. Obviously, that was a big moment for me, just, to be able to fight in the T-Mobile Arena and get a win. As a lot of people know, my last outing at the T-Mobile Arena did not go in the way that I expected it to. Just, with getting injured, and then also, the fact that my last time fighting in front of fans was going to be the last time for a whole year. And then it ended up being like 2 years. I mean, it's been a while since being able to fight in front of a crowd, and I love the fans. It's a whole different energy, and it's just a really enjoyable experience. It's not just like one thing to be able to share the experience with fans, but being able to share the experience with fans live in the arena is just something truly special. So I'm very excited that we are back and not having to be restricted by COVID.
And then with the fight, like, did anything surprise you that Jessica did, or was it kind of what you expected out of her?
No, I mean, the only thing that I feel like really surprised me was I felt like she was really just trying to hold on to me and not really like, I don't know. I guess in a lot of her fights, I feel like she was more of like fighting, and this time I just felt like she was trying to really hold on and not really trying to like fight. It felt like we were going into a clinch a lot, which maybe her game plan was to, clinch and just like slow me down, which I mean, she did pretty well at. But at the same time, it's like I wanted a knockout, I wanted to finish, and it's really hard to finish a girl when they're
Mhm.
just trying to hold on to you. So for me, it was a little bit like frustrating of the fact that I'm like, let's just fight, let's swing, let's fight, because that's what I like to do. But at the same time, she took me down, and I was just waiting because I was like, I felt like she wasn't really threatening, but at the same time, you don't want to make a mistake. You know that someone has been in there, with a lot of fighters, and so I just kind of was like, I'll wait it out and see what happens. And then, when we got back into the clinch and on the feet, that's where I really took over. So I'm happy with it.
And then I was trying to remember, was this your third or fourth fight at Team Alpha Male?
This is my third. It was my
Yeah.
third. So I fought Miranda Maverick, then I fought Montana, and then I fought Jessica.
How much like better, not like how much better do you think you have gotten since going there? Because it seems like your game has gotten a lot better just in the last couple fights.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to just give all the credit to Team
Yeah.
Alpha Male. Obviously, yes, they have done so much for me, and I feel really comfortable, and I feel like that's the place to be for me. But also, I feel like it was also me coming off my ACL injury. Really getting back into trusting my leg and just being there. Because when you come off an injury like that, I mean, it's a substantial injury, and so I was out for a year and then fought Alexa Grasso, and maybe I was not ready to, turn around and fight someone as tough as Alexa at the time, but I definitely needed that experience. So, but as time went on, you've seen, I had a really close decision against Miranda, and then it was a decisive, like really dominant win over Montana, and then really dominant over Jessica. And so I feel like that's just, me really getting back to the old me and the old, finishing style and the old fighting style that I had, back before I tore my leg. And so I'm really thankful that I've had the experiences, and I'm thankful for being at Team Alpha Male and the coaches too. It's such a good energy and a good vibe there that it's just like, it's a positive environment, and they're really chasing the best in the world. And so I feel like both of those things hand in hand go really well for me.
And I know you were a bit disappointed you didn't get the finish, but like pretty happy with your performance other than that.
Yeah, for sure. I'm really happy with the performance, but of course I want to finish, and there's always places where I'm like, man, I should have done this, I should have done that, and I need to really trust my kicks. Like I have really good kicks, and I just, for whatever reason, same thing. Maybe it's just something from my leg injury, but I really need to trust that, and I feel like I am starting to show that a little bit more. Um, and yeah, I'm happy with it. I'm growing and I'm learning. So what more can I ask for?
And then you kind of surprised a lot of people by saying that you fought out your contract. Like, were you surprised that
Yeah.
you didn't get like you didn't re-sign before? Like, how did you? Because I know they don't really. Most fighters don't go into like actually fighting the contract. They seem to like re-sign with one fight left.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think it's more of a coincidence, just the fact that I had such a quick turnaround. I
Mhm.
fought on Saturday and had a turnaround on Sunday. So I think it's that, we just didn't really have time. It's either negotiate a contract or get a fight. And I feel like that's kind of part of it, but another part of it, is I'm confident, and I was really confident in the fight with Jessica and I knew what I brought to the table against her. And so I wasn't at all worried about, oh, if I lose this fight, because it wasn't like, what if I lose this fight? I knew that was a fight I was going to win. And so for me to fight out the contract, knowing that I was going to get a win, didn't really, scare me at all, or didn't really make me worried. And I'm really excited, to sit down with the UFC and get a new contract.
Have you talked to them at all, or is that something that they've just been pretty busy and it's gonna be handled eventually?
A little bit. I mean, they reached out to me, and I really needed a week with my family. I went back to Milwaukee, and I
Hmm.
had some prior things that I had to take care of, and so um, they reached out to me, and I'm, like I said, I'm really excited to sit down with them and uh, see where it goes.
And like getting the win over Jessica probably could get you a bit more money too on the contract.
That's what I'm hoping for. Yeah. I don't see it going backwards. I see it definitely going forwards.
And you already 2 fights this year, like, especially with the quick turnaround, like, are you hoping a
Hmm.
bit of time off or, like, when's kinda that time frame for you to get back in there?
I wanted a couple of weeks just to let my rib heal, and so I'm taking a few weeks from the gym. I've been training, just not training 4 times a day. Instead I'm training like
Mhm.
once or twice, or like once with a run. Just trying to stay in shape and keep that up. I don't want to lose the physical shape, so that when I do enter, into a camp, I'm already, ready. So for me, I try to train all year round. And I definitely want to fight one more time before the year is over. So um, late October, November, December, any of those work. So yeah, I'm excited to get back in there.
In front of fans, though, like, you
Yes,
gotta
in front of fans, for sure.
uh, do you really care who's next? Like, I'm sure you've already seen it. It seems every time you fight, a lot of girls go on Twitter and always, call you out or after their wins, like, your popular name to call out, like, so do you really care who you fight? Because it seems like you have a lot of options, a lot of people that wanna fight you.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, obviously, I want to climb the rankings, but I don't want to like skip forward in the rankings. Honestly, a fight that really looks appealing to me is the fight with KGB.
Mhm.
Mainly because she's number 9 and I'm now number 10, so I feel like that's like a good fight for me. It's a great fight for me to win. and it's the next spot forward, I don't want to fight backwards. So ideally, if I had my choice, it'd be her. And then again, someday, I want the fight back with Alexa, but I would rather fight KGB Lee first and then move forward again. So yeah, we'll see.
And I think on paper, like that's a really fun fight between you and Andrea.
Yeah, for sure. I know that she's fought, several of the people that I fought. So, again, it's another one that I can win, and she's another name, that's been around for a while. So it'd be a really great win for me.
And then I know Casey and Aaron have both been pretty vocal wanting to fight you. Like, is that something you think you guys are both so young that it's gonna happen eventually? It doesn't really need to happen now, and you guys are both like all in the 10 to 15 range.
Yeah, I feel like it'll happen eventually. I mean, Casey has a long ways to go with her ACL recovery. I've been through that, and I know how long it is. And then with Aaron, I feel like Aaron has to get a lot more wins. She can't just like fight. Who did she fight? She fought JJ Aldrich,
Mm-hmm.
and I felt like JJ Aldrich was winning. And I beat JJ Aldrich pretty bad. So for me, I feel like she's got to win a few more fights before she can call me out, and I'm not fighting backwards. So when she gets to climb up the rankings and gets a few more wins, I'll definitely beat her up.
And something you said earlier that you want to get that Alexa fight back. Like, is that one where you think maybe you rushed in a bit too early, or like you didn't have kind of full confidence, unity in that one?
I do, but again, I'm not gonna make excuses
Mm-hmm.
and be like, oh well, I wasn't healed, I wasn't ready. She won, she beat me, and that was one where I feel like I definitely had a slow start in the first round, and that third round that I had, I feel like that's how I need to fight. If it was a 5-round fight, I feel like I would have won that fight. Unfortunately, it was a 3-round fight, and I need to be better about fighting these 3-round fights. I'm one of those fighters that gets better with the time in the cage. But I've gotten way better at being quicker to start in the first round, being quicker to start in the second round. But it's definitely a fight that I know I can win, and I want to get back for sure eventually.
Are you kind of hoping you get a main event then soon, just so you can get that 5 rounds? Because like you said, like your second and third round always seem like the best.
They do. I mean, they always, I feel like that's just me, like I have that mentality of like, no, we're not getting out of here until I make you bloody. And I know a lot of girls get tired, and I don't get tired. I feel like that's the mentality that I bring. So yeah, for sure. I definitely want a 5-round fight. I definitely want a main event pretty soon, maybe one more fight and then get a main event. Also building that experience, for when I get a title shot.
Just a couple more things. Like obviously, I haven't talked to you since Shevchenko's fight against Santos. Like, what
Yeah.
do you make of that? Because I think a lot of people thought Santos should have won.
I don't feel like Santos won that fight just based off of that performance. I felt like she could have won that fight if she hadn't got headbutted. I feel like Valentina definitely capitalized on a few things, but I definitely felt like she was winning that fight. Like Talia was definitely winning most of the rounds until that headbutt, and then it's hard to fight with an eye that's swollen shut and all of that she had to go through. So honestly, if I watch that fight back and they fight it again, I feel like Talia wins that fight for sure.
Do you think they probably run it back? Like, what would you do with that when it was so close?
If I were her and if I were them, I definitely would see that back because I do feel like that was a fight that Valentina would have lost.
And just last thing, like, did you see Misha Tate obviously dropped on a fight? What you make of her performance?
I did. I wouldn't mind fighting her eventually too. I'm not shocked. I'm not like impressed. I mean, it's great that she moved down, and I have a lot of respect for her. Being a former champion and being such a legend in the sport. But that's definitely a fight that she has a lot of experience, and I would love to fight her because we have the older generation fighting the newer generation. And Lauren Murphy had a great performance. She does really well. So who knows? Maybe I'll fight one of them too.
Well, Maycee, I appreciate the time. Thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Bye.
All right, we're joined by UFC welterweight Alex Morono, who's back in action. Alex, how's it going, man?
Good. It's funny seeing myself on the camera. I'm a little unkept, but I've been just keeping my head down and training my butt off. And so man, fight camp's going good. This is one of the hardest fight camps I've had in recent memory, which says a lot because every fight camp I've had has been super preparation. I mean, super prep, but this one's been challenging and very effective. And I'm actually making the trip up to Dallas here in just a couple hours, so I'll be rooted there for a little bit, and ready to get back to work.
Obviously, you had a really active 2020 and 2021, like 3 fights each year. First fight of the year now, like, was this a lot later than what you thought you'd be fighting in?
No, not as much. I did need to recover a little bit after that active year. And then I do run a gym, a big gym, a busy gym. So it's always nice to be able to sit back and handle business. But no, I mean, I was kind of, waiting for quarter two or quarter three, which is perfect. So honestly, the time frame for myself is good. Ideally maybe one more in quarter four, but I like 2 fights a year. That allows me to train very consistently, really prioritize and focus on the fights, and then also run the business, which is fantastic. And then last year I actually took 2 short notice fights, which was great.
Mhm.
Training, always training. So I don't, if a quick opportunity also presents itself, I'm always ready for that.
And then you get the call to fight in Dallas, in Texas, like close to home. Like, how exciting was that when you found out that was the location?
Man, I didn't see it coming. I looked at that fight card. I had a couple teammates on that fight card, and it just looked full. And I kept asking my coach, like, hey, have they offered anything, anything for July, anything for August? And sure enough, Sean Shelby, who is my true unsung hero, he was like, hey, we'll get Morono on Dallas if he wants it. I was like, coach, I'll take it. Whoever they offer, I'll fight him. And I got a good matchup in Simmelsberger. He's big. He's physical. I know the type of person he is. He's like a hard worker. And I know he's going to come ready for this fight. So I got to make sure to work even harder and show up and put on a show.
And what's it like for you to have Diego and Ramiz on the card with you? Because especially when you're going out to Florida, it's like they're going to be going for that same date you are.
Yeah, man, it's been good. It's been hard training. That's what I mean when I say like this training camp's been the hardest in some time. And what's awesome is Jeff Neal's fighting the week after us, fighting Vicente Luque, which is a tall order as well. So man, we have all just been fighting in the gym. I mean, it's been, the guys motivated to train and win, and then coach sitting there guiding us. It's been just a recipe for success and very hard work. I mean, it's been awesome.
And then your opponent in Matt Semmelsberger, like how familiar are you with him? Like he's been around the UFC now for quite a bit.
Yeah, he's gone 4-1. He's done well. And again, like I've met guys like him in the past, and I see how he fights, and I know his like kind of background athletically, and he's just a hard worker. I know guys like that. They work not too hard, but they like max out that work rate, and he seems like a good dude. He's got a good skill set behind him. He's big. He's physical. So I just got to make sure to stick to my guns, and I just been working hard. That's just the biggest thing, just making sure I'm ready to go a hard 15 minutes.
Are you surprised you aren't getting a ranked guy? Like I thought that might have been a possibility for you.
No, before I was matched up, I always eyeball the roster and I see who's matched up, and there weren't a lot of available guys. But also, I don't care. I'm going more after that Jim Miller. I'd like 30 fights plus. I couldn't imagine there's anyone they'd offer I wouldn't fight. And there are some guys who don't have any name value, and those guys are the ones that aren't as exciting. But Simmelsberger, he's done well. He's got a winning record in the UFC, and the way he fights is entertaining. So I think that makes for a really fun matchup. But a lot of guys ask that same question. But I'm really comfortable with what I'm getting paid. Very happy with what I'm getting paid. So that really doesn't really cross my mind as much.
And with Matt, like a ton of power, like he has a knockout in 15 seconds and 16 seconds. Like you don't see that all the time. And then super durable. Like you took, you can go get that if you want.
Hey, Jackie, stop it. He'll be okay.
Okay. And then he took Chaos Williams, like biggest shots. Like he's taken like AJ Fletcher landed some good shots on him. Like he's super durable. So like, is this one of those fights that you just kind of have to be ready to go 15 minutes because he seems like a very tough guy to get out of there?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, so that's why, we are amping up that work rate and just ready to, just keep my head down and stick to the grindstone and just, use my experience and my skill set to just try to win all 3 rounds and, finish anytime I can. That's the plan. But, no expectations really on as much what he's going to do. And I kind of plan on just free forming it and staying on the feet. If he shoots in, dealing with that. If we clinch up, dealing with that. But, I got a lot of octagon time last year, and I'm thinking that's going to play a role.
Is there any pressure on you, like fighting in Texas again? Like obviously there's going to be a lot of people probably reaching out for tickets, a lot of friends and family in the crowd. Like, does that add anything to you, or you kind of have to zone that out?
No, it's one of those things. It's like even when guys like talk trash or whatever, like there's nothing that could motivate me to fight harder in a fight than just being in the fight. Like I always get super like laser focused, and there's really nothing that could break that focus. Once the bell sounds, and this is in Dallas. This is about 3 hours north of where I live, so it's just far enough away to not have that hometown pressure. Because I'm still traveling, I'm still staying in a hotel, I'm not staying at home. And so no, this one it's convenient, but it doesn't have that same pressure. Like I fought in Austin once, and that was awesome because I'm pretty familiar with that spot. But no, I'm super familiar with Dallas. I mean, I'm going up there now. I've been going up there every week for the last I don't know how many weeks. I train up there all the time, so it's comfortable, it's familiar. But thankfully, it's not as comfortable as being at home. So that does have that kind of prize fighting travel feel to it, which is nice.
And then how exciting is it to be back in front of fans? Like I was looking, like it would have been what, the Chaos fight is the last one you would have fought in front of fans?
Yeah, my last 5 were at the Apex. I enjoy the energy of the fans. My first 8, 9 UFC fights were that way. Back when I would fight home locally, I'd fight in a sold out arena theater a lot. So I enjoy that aspect of the fight game.
How do you kind of see this one playing out? Just because we kind of talked about like Matt's super durable, but then both you guys very good strikers, like underrated grapplers. Like it seems like a very fun fight.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for is an entertaining fight. I always plan on like a 3rd round finish. Like no matter who I'm fighting, that's always my answer. I plan on going a hard 15 if I need to. A finish early would be great, but you can't bank on that. So just ready for 15 minutes of just hard work and a grind.
You get your hand raised here. Like, where do you think that kind of puts you? I know whenever I talk to you, you never like care really about the rankings or the belt. Like, you kind of leave that for your other teammates. Like, do you care like where win puts you? Is it more just get more money and fight kind of these more known guys?
Man, I like cashing checks in the UFC, and I'm telling you, man, I'm getting paid well. Back in the day, if I had a bad performance and lost a decision, it sucked. It always sucks, but it wasn't as big a hit. But now, man, I'm getting paid a lot, and it's just that's good motivation to win. Winning is a good motivation to win always, especially representing the team, and showing coach that all the work, all the grind that goes into it is worthwhile, especially on his end. But there's a lot of money to be won and a lot of just exposure to be gained, and that's what I'm fighting for.
What is kind of the goal then? Like get this win and hopefully one more. Like I know you said you like the 2 fights a year, so you hoping kind of near the end of the year is to return.
Yeah, December would be great. November, really, whatever. I mean, shit, I'll fight, and if I'm healthy, give me a short notice fight, whatever. Really, whatever, man. I'm in a gym all day long, and when I'm not training at Fortis, I'm at home, running my gym, teaching 20 plus classes a week, and training and having fun, and man, this is what I do. I'm just happy to have this ability to do martial arts every day.
And we kind of talked about it a bit earlier, but like who is kind of be in your corner? Just because there's a lot of Fortis guys. Like, are you guys bringing the same coach, or are you gonna have kind of different people in your corner?
Yeah, so I have my striking coach, Matt Wald. We've been together forever, like 15 years. And then I have like he's like my second in command at the gym. He's at 8-3 pro. He's fighting 2 weeks after me for Fury, but he's like my warm-up guy, my boy Jake. And then naturally Coach Safe is always the lead. I mean, my other guys are there for support, and Safe is there to lead, to be the general in this battle.
I know UFC run your own gym, like you coach Ricky Tercios and like a lot of other guys. Like, how much have you leaned on Safe and kind of how much he's taught you as a coach? Because to me, he's one of the best coaches, and I feel like you pick up a lot when you go to your own gym and start coaching these guys.
Yeah, Safe was critical to my elevation to a higher level of mixed martial arts. Thankfully, I was introduced to him by a mutual training partner who trained there, and he was also in Houston. And that's when I started training with him. And then once I not only saw his training methods, but I saw how he just understands the higher level of mixed martial arts, both on the business side and the tactical, technical side. It was a no-brainer to do whatever I had to do to, allow him to be in charge of effectively my fate in higher level MMA. And it's the best decision I've ever made. It's something my wife always is very grateful for. We talk about it all the time, but I mean, he's my coach, my commander. I very much so like to follow in his footsteps.
How often are you going to Fortis? Like, are you still driving there like every week?
Yeah. The trip's not so bad. Like last week, since I had to go to Vegas, I was up early in the week, trained my butt off Tuesday, stayed the night, trained hard Wednesday morning, flew right to Vegas, came back home on Sunday, had a day here, going back up there for the week. I'll come back later, recover, do the same thing. It's nice, but I go there in fight camp every week. And then out of camp, whenever coach needs me to help somebody out, whenever I have the time off, I try to make it up as much as possible.
Just a couple more things. Like, obviously, Cowboy retired. And I know that was one of your, like, you were one of his last fights. Like, what's that like to be able to share the cage with him now, looking back, that you were like his second last fight ever?
Yeah, that was cool. I thought his matchup with Lozon was a really good matchup. It was unfortunate it fell out twice. You can't force something that's not going to happen. But I thought the matchup with Miller was also good too, and he wasn't looking bad. Miller's got a wicked guillotine on him. That was kind of a classic Miller move and finish. But it was cool, man. Cowboy's done so much in the sport. It was nice to see him retire. I'm sure he's gonna have a million opportunities doing other stuff. But any fighter can only hope to achieve what he's achieved. And I'm happy for him, and I hope he has a fun second kind of half of his professional life.
I know you kind of mentioned earlier that you want to be like a Jim Miller Cowboy, like just fighting all those time. Like, so what did you get? Like, was that kind of cool then, seeing those two fight when you're kind of looking up and hoping to have like a career like them?
Yeah, especially watching Miller get the win, and he's still winning. Like, I don't want to just fight to fight.
Mm-hmm.
I want to fight and win. And I know with a streak and with wins comes the rankings and the potential belt. And if that's the case, awesome. I'll go through that process. But like, I always focus on one fight at a time, and winning the fight is everything. I mean, winning in MMA is everything. If you're not in the fight to win, you should not be doing it whatsoever. So, I mean, like, every decision I make every day is to increase that chance to win, and you got to show up and perform. I mean, there's a lot that goes into it, but again, like, as much as I'd like to have 30 plus fights in the UFC, I plan on 30 plus wins in the UFC. That's the goal.
Well, Alex, I appreciate the time as always. Thank you so much for doing this.
Yeah, you got it, man. Thanks, man.
All right, we're joined by UFC lightweight Drakkar Klose, who's still on UFC 277. Drakkar, how's it going?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, obviously you're supposed to fight Diego Ferreira. Like, when did you kind of find out he was out, and like how quickly did they get you this new opponent?
It was weird because at Courtney's fight, his coach came up to me and like he was kind of sizing me up and feeling me, and he's like, "Oh, it's gonna be a good fight." And then that Tuesday, Danny hit me up early that morning, was like, "Diego's out," and I was like, I kind of figured that was gonna happen. But I thought it was going to be next week that he was going to pull out. And then yesterday they found me a new opponent.
Were you nervous at all that you wouldn't be able to get a fight, and like this kind of continuation would just continue of you struggling to get these fights?
No, I was just more like, I didn't want to, all this training that I put in and don't fight, like, I want to be compensated somehow, you know what I mean? Like, because I have other obligations to do this summer. They were talking about maybe fighting in October, and I'm like, man, I got weddings to go to. And, but I'm just glad they're able to, find someone.
And with Rafa Garcia, like, how familiar are you with him?
Not too much with him. I know he fought on the same card as me in April. I noticed he fought one of my old teammates, Chris Gritzmacher. And when I watch him, he could take a beating. He's tough, but other than that, it's just another fight.
Then just kind of building off that last thing, how glad are you that you are still on this card, especially because it's in front of fans too? That's not just an Apex one, and you don't get moved to just a fight night at the Apex again.
I have people already bought tickets, plane tickets, hotels, and all this. So it's like, man, I don't want them, like, because it's happened to me before, where everyone lost out on money, and I'm just glad they found someone. And for the fans, you know what I mean? It's been since March 7th is the last time, I fought in front of fans, and just to be, put a showcase on for them.
You mentioned you thought Diego was going to pull out, but you thought it was going to be on fight week. Like, why did you kind of think that was going to happen?
I don't know. Like, I talk to me and my brothers. We always talk, and we kind of thought, his back's against the wall. He's on a 3-fight losing streak. He's fighting for his job. You know what I mean? There's way easier fights for him to take, than me. I'd go out there and fight. It's going to be an ugly fight for him. It's job security, for him. So, maybe he can find someone else to fight and win, and then, get another contract for himself.
And now on to your fight with Garcia. Like, how do you think you match up against him? Because like his first 2 fights, like it was kind of disappointing. Like maybe it was the octagon jitters, but then his last 2, like he has looked a lot better in there.
I think I match up very well with him. It's gonna be a grimy fight. He's a lot smaller than me, so this is gonna be the first time ever like fighting someone that's shorter than me and smaller. So it should be interesting. It should be a fun fight. But I see myself beating him everywhere.
The one thing about him though is like he can take a lot of punishment and damage, and he kind of keeps going forward. Like, is that something you have to be ready for? Is like probably going to be in there for 15 minutes with this guy?
15 minutes. I train to fight 15 minutes, so I'm not too worried about it. You know what I mean? Just got to capitalize when I do hit him, because he will get hit. He likes to get hit, and I think I'm quicker than him, so I think I just beat him everywhere and just be ready to go 15 minutes.
On the flip side, though, like your last fight, like I think you showed off your power a lot more against Brent. Like, do you think that time off and like you have gotten stronger and you do like hit a lot harder now?
I think just being smarter, being more patient, not trying to rush things. A lot of those fights, I'm trying to like I didn't plan on finishing Jenkins. You know what I mean? I was like, I told myself I'm gonna go for 15 minutes. So just letting it just come to me. Don't try to force anything. When you force things, that's when things don't happen. So just like this fight, I plan on going 15 minutes with them. Just getting the victory. That's the only thing that really matters.
How do you kind of see it playing out then?
Be honest, just hitting him repeatedly, and hopefully he falls. And if not, just beat him up wherever, either on the ground or on the feet. So let it be.
Where do you think a win puts you? Because obviously before Diego pulled out and like before some fights happened, like he was in the rankings, so they were obviously giving you a ranked guy. Like, do you think you get past Garcia? Like, you're probably getting a top 15 guy next.
Hopefully, I have 2 fights on my contract. I'll go out there, get this win, renegotiate another contract, and you know what I mean? And give me one of those top 15 guys.
Does that put any extra pressure on you to like go out there and either finish them or like make it a kind of one-sided fight to show like your level and so you can get more money in that contract negotiation?
Not really, because only thing that really matters is a win. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, like with the Benil fight, I went out there, I left it all on the line. I lost. Nothing really changed. You know what I mean? Like, I'm still made the same amount of money the next fight. You know what I mean? If I'd have won, then I have more power.
With the Benil fight too, like, does that give you confidence knowing like how close you are to finishing him and like no one's really been able to do that to him since your fight?
No, just it's who I train with. As an amateur, I've been training with Benson Henderson, so it's like I know I compete with the top guys in the world. So I just need my opportunity. That's all I need.
And then with it being in front of fans, like, what do you think that walkout's going to be like? Because your last fight was March of 2020, the last time you made that walk in front of fans.
Just go out there and just be myself. Hopefully they crank that music real high, and I'm just going out there and vibing out and just having a good time.
You mentioned too, you have like some weddings and stuff in the summer. So like, when is kind of that time for him to return? Probably the end of the year if everything goes your way.
Maybe October, November. But I want to get, I I wrote down everything my goals for this year, and staying active. These last couple of years I haven't been too active due to injuries and just stupid stuff, happening, and just being active. I wrote down my goal is be the champion 2023. So, and the only way you can do that is fight.
Is your neck like still something you think you're gonna need surgery on? I remember you saying that last time, where you probably once your career's over, you'll need surgery on it.
Yeah, I just left physical therapy. I still do therapy on my neck. You know what I mean? It's something that's never gonna go away until I get it fixed. And but I'm gonna have to wait until when I'm call it quits to get it fixed. Yeah, so.
If do you really plan to call anyone out after this one, or is it just whoever they give you, and preferably a guy in that top 15?
I've been calling out Mark Madsen. I called him out twice after the fight, and then I called him out at short notice. I'm past him. I refuse to fight him because he had 2 opportunities to fight me. I'm not gonna call him out anymore. Be honest, I don't know. We'll see after this win. I got a couple guys in mind.
Just last thing I want to touch on was obviously Courtney's fight. Like, I thought she should have won it. Like, how frustrating is it for you and Courtney, where that feels like every single fight, it goes to the decision. I think Courtney's gonna win, and then the other fighter gets her hand raised.
When your sister's the champ, it kind of goes in your favor. I thought Courtney beat her up pretty good. Everyone thought she won. Besides the judges, you know what I mean? It kind of sucks because that messes with our livelihood. That's how we, support our family. And, a lot of those decisions, it could have went her way, and that changes her record completely.
Mm-hmm.
That changes her path of her career completely. And, leaving it in the judges that don't know much, they probably never competed. It just sucks, you know what I mean? Maybe we need to just, it kind of sucks even if we got a flat fee, still leaving it to the judges. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, they need to have more 10-10 rounds, you know what I mean? Or something like that, or have more draws in fights, you know what I mean? I don't know. We need to figure something out. We always, Dana White complained about it. Everyone complains about it, but it's like, what are they doing to fix it? I know it's the athletic commission. It's like, someone has to be held responsible for this, because you're messing with people's money.
And there was a couple bad decisions on that card. Like, Michael Johnson should have won his fight, and like Courtney's was bad. I thought Michael Johnson could have been even worse. Like, that he won more, like, pretty clearly.
Yeah, that, man, I feel bad for Mike, man. It sucks, man. It's like, I think the judges should be interviewed like the fighters after the fight. Because I want to know what they're judging and what they've seen, because they don't know what they don't know what they think they're betting on the fights. You know what I mean? They probably got a nice little parlay going, and they're like, "Yep, we're gonna make sure I hit my parlay tonight."
And then with Courtney, like, did the UFC or anyone say anything to her after the fight, like that she thought she won, or like they're gonna kind of take care of her, like? Or is it kind of uncertain what's going to be next for her?
I know she talked to Mick, but she never told me what he said. I don't think he really said much, but it just sucks. Even if they said they thought you won, well, give her the money.
Yeah.
You get paid, you know what I mean? But, it's a business. They're trying to keep as much money in their pockets as possible.
Well, Drakkar, that's all I have for you. Thank you so much for doing this. I appreciate it.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, have a good one. All right, we're joined by UFC welterweight Orion Cosce. He was back in action. Orion, how's it going?
Going good, man. Got to support my Raiders. They're making great moves this summer. So,
Are you a big Raiders fan then?
Huge Raiders fan.
I'm a big Bills fan, but the Raiders, I like what they did. Devontae Adams, that was a good pickup for them.
We needed that, dude. We needed that. It was one of those things where the Raiders are missing pieces. They've been missing pieces for a long time on offense, on defense, and all that stuff. And so I just figured, hey, as soon as we got Adams, we were good. But then we kept making moves. So I'm super excited for this year, more than I've been in a long time as a Raiders fan.
Uh, Into your fight, like you're obviously supposed to fight Blood Diamond in Singapore. When he pulled out with an injury, like did you want to remain on that card, or did you kind of like this fight and were ready to rebook it?
I wanted to remain on it, and then my management and we talked, and they were like, "Yeah, well, we just got hit by Singapore saying they're going to attach us more money on top," and I was like, I don't know about that, man. Like, I don't know if I'm going to get taxed more money. I already get taxed enough here in the States, so um, it would have been a unique experience to be on that card. It would have been a great opportunity because it would have been one of the first times there was a pay-per-view in Singapore. So hopefully next time they'll be able to get me on something overseas, but I'm definitely happier to be traveling only 3 hours to go to Dallas rather than 19 hours to get to Singapore. So
And after the fight was you realized you weren't going to be on the card, like was it always to rebook this fight, or were there other options to take another fight?
We definitely wanted to rebook the fight, and just because we did the same thing, when I got COVID, and I wasn't able to heal up properly, his team, they did the same thing for us. They said, "Hey, like we'll let you have time to heal up." He still ended up taking the fight in Houston for that last pay-per-view that he was on, and then we got the rematch that was set for this weekend. But since he got injured and pulled out, I just told my management, "Hey, if we can't stay on the card, let's try to rebook something with this guy." Since we pulled out the first time, he had to pull out the second time. Hopefully, third time's the charm, and that's what he said too. I hit him up on social media. I just told him, "Hey, heal up, man. I'd rather be able to fight you when you're at full health, and I'm glad you're doing the right thing."
What has this past year been like? By the time you step in the octagon, like it will be pretty much a full year to the day almost since your last one.
Yeah, no. I don't like waiting that long. It sucks, but it is what it is. That's kind of the fight game. Things happen. Yeah, so far that's kind of been like my UFC start off. Is I was supposed to fight Nick Dalby back in 2020, and I got the news while I was on my honeymoon, and then ended up getting like the neck and arm injury and stuff like that. And it's just been one of those scenes, man, where it's been, an injury that causes me to be delayed. And then the fight went in with a brand new nerve injury that was 2 weeks prior. And then getting ready for Metheth the first time, getting COVID. So just little things happening. So I'm just telling myself, hey, like for this fight, like stay away from sick people. You stay healthy. You find out somebody's got a flu, you stay the hell away from them. We're not going to risk anything because I definitely want to get up back in there. I love performing for the fans. I love performing for an audience. So I'm happy it's not going to be at the Apex this time because I love fighting when there's a crowd. There ain't nothing like it. It's a brand new energy.
And like, what do you kind of make of your debut? Like, you obviously came up short in that one, but Phil Rowe, like, he's kind of been on a roll since your fight.
Obviously, anyone's going to be disappointed they lose, but I'm not too disappointed. Like I said, went in there with the little pinched nerve in the right arm, and I feel like I did good in the first round. I should have did more with my grappling. Obviously, I used a little bit too much of my wrestling and not enough striking. I could have been a little bit more persistent, but the second round, it wasn't going too bad. I probably should have taken more time. I was watching that fight a couple weeks back while I was on the treadmill, like trying to see what I should have did better. And I should have used more of my pressure, obviously, but I was looking at right after when I got kicked in the nuts. I was like, damn, like I wanted to puke. I wanted to puke so bad. But I was like, oh man, I got to recover. But the entire time I wasn't even thinking about I got kicked in the nuts. I was thinking about my right arm was going numb. And I was like, man, I got to make a damn decision. So I thought like a couple minutes had already passed by, and it turned out only like 40 seconds had passed by. And I was like, all right, let's just keep going. And then obviously, I come in and I get caught, I get clipped. So I get rocked a little bit, and then I end up clipping him back. So we're just rocking the shit out of each other. I think what I should have did was instead of staying tall in the clinch against a guy like that, I should have went for the takedown, because then that allowed him to get his knees. Mm. And so once he got those knees off, that started giving me more damage anyway. So I got to remember, like, I'm not, indestructible. Like, I can still take damage, but my body definitely gave out before my brain, because once he sat me on my ass against the cage and the rest stopped it, I remember the entire event. Who was it? Chris, the ref.
Yeah.
He was asking me, he's all, hey, you got knocked out. I was like, no, I know what the fuck happened, man. I know exactly what happened. So I had a laugh about that. He's like, oh, okay, well, so he's like, walk me through it. So I told him, I was like, well, I just got hit. I got sat on my ass. I looked up and you stopped it. My legs gave out, man. But I'm definitely learning from that. More head movement. If I'm damaged, make it to where I don't look damaged. I got to recover faster. If I need to take it back down to the ground, I need to do whatever I can. Injuries or not, tired or not. I mean, I just got to force it back into a position where I'm comfortable. So definitely learning from that and definitely training smarter. That way I'm not going into this next fight with any injuries.
Yeah, that's kind of something I want to touch on. Like, you were dealing with that bad neck and kind of shoulder injury. So, like, how much better do you feel now and, like, more confident going into this fight now that you are kind of like, no one goes into a fight completely healthy, but a lot more healthy than what you have been?
I feel way more confident. I mean, I felt confident going into the last fight too, even with the arm thing. I was getting it worked on 2 days before the weight cut and all that stuff, trying to get the muscle contusions out. That way it would release off the nerve. But definitely going to have to say a lot more comfortable. I mean, I'm walking around, I'm feeling great. I'm being able to. So when I got that first neck injury, I wasn't able to hold like a bottle of water, like a 32-ounce bottle of water in my right hand. Like, I was completely numb all the way through the trap, into the shoulder, the pectoral, the right tricep, the right lat, top of the forearm, my thumb, index finger, and middle finger. So like it felt like somebody was stabbing me with needles and pins every single day for like 2 to 3 weeks, just constant. It sucked, man. It sucked, but I was able to recover. I couldn't even do like an actual push-up just because of how much stress it took for, I want to say, almost a month. And then I got back to the point where I started forcing myself to do stuff and I couldn't feel it. I couldn't activate anything. So I guess kept training more and more and more and getting back into it. And it was weird. Like, I'd be doing battle ropes and I'd feel super tired, but like if I go ran, I'd still feel tired because all that pressure that was going with the nerve. And so I just had a bunch of different like acupuncture, massage, cupping, chiropractic, and then just did whatever I could to try to make it to where I can get healthier and healthier.
And with now that you are healthy, like getting this fight against Blood Diamond, like how excited are you? Just because this is like Adesanya's like main training partner, he's hyped him up, like he has a lot of hype behind him. Like, how excited are you that you get to fight him so early in your career too?
Oh man, it's going to be a great fight. He seems like a very respectable opponent, and that's all I care about. I mean, I don't give a shit who it is. It could be anybody in the world. They could say tomorrow, like, hey, we just changed it to George St. Pierre, and I'd be like, all right, cool, like, that's awesome. But I just want to fight, man, and I'm pretty sure he probably feels the same way. We're going to go in there and try to beat the shit out of each other, put on a show for the fans, and hopefully I'll be fortunate enough to go in without injuries, walk out without injuries, and be able to fight again soon, because I'm the kind of guy who'll take 3 fights, 5 weeks. I don't like waiting.
With his debut, like he showed off his striking, like a very good striker, but the problem was obviously the wrestling. Like, how much do you think your wrestling is going to play a role in this fight? Just because you can stand and strike with anyone, but like if people look on it, it's probably to look to take him down just because of how dangerous he is on the feet.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we'll just have to see, because like you said, I got the ability to stand up. I got the ability to take the fight to the ground. But that's why it's mixed martial arts. So my game plan is to use it all, because if I'm not using it all, then I'm going away from who I am. And so I'm going to make sure that I'm going to continue to be a pressure fighter, work it. If we're off the cage, work him to the cage, start trying to drop bombs on him. If he tries to throw back hard, slip, duck, roll, keep landing strikes, fake the takedowns to come back up with strikes, or even use the strikes instead of my takedown. So I'm going to be using it all together. If the opportunity shows it, I'll take him down and try to get the sub or ground and pound. But if the opportunity doesn't show, then, I'll take my time and wait till the finish is right.
Do you put any pressure like to go out there and like make a statement and get like a big finish, just because UFC has so many fighters, like so many events, like especially it's like a what have you kind of done for me lately sport where people forget about everyone pretty quickly. So like, do you put any pressure on yourself to kind of remind everyone and the fans that you're still here?
No. All I have to do is go and perform the way I know how to perform, and the fans will know I'm there.
And fighting in front of fans too, like how exciting is that? Where it's not the Apex, you get that full crowd in Dallas.
Dude, it's a different environment. I love it. Like, I feed off that energy. I need that energy. I love it so damn much. It's like there's something about it. A lot of fighters, they talk about it too. Like, it gives you that fighting spirit. Like, there's just a sense of I have to do this. And so knowing that last fight, there was people. It's like, okay, yeah, there's a few people, but it felt different. It felt like I didn't even really feel like a fight, even though it was a fight. But when there's audience, because I've been used to growing up doing my amateur fights and pro fights with an audience the entire time. So I'm glad we're getting back to an audience right now, because yeah, that energy is going to be completely different, and it shows too. When we had no fans in the audience, like you saw the energy of some fighters if they had a big win. But now we're taking a look at all these fighters with an audience that get a big win, and it's just completely different. You see the actual true raw emotion of how a fighter is when they're being supported by the people that are there to support them.
Just a couple more things. Like, I know you work a lot with your brother. Like, who are kind of the main guys you're working with for this one?
A bunch of different people, but my striking coach, Ezra. So for that way we can be ready for the striking aspect. So I've been working with him a lot, getting back into full swing of a full camp starting Monday for the last 2 weeks. Like I said, just making sure I'm not getting injuries or getting sick. So what I've been doing is just doing 1 to 2 sessions a day of training, but just keeping it smart and making sure that they are intense, but nothing to where I can risk injury. So when I get back into Alpha Male on Monday for more training, I'll be working with people like Northcutt, Loader, and Munoz. If I believe Munoz is back to health though, so I got to check in with that guy. But up here where I work too, like I said, my striking coach Ezra, then he brings guys in. He brings brand new people for me to get different looks each time, because that's the thing about training, man. Like if you're training with the same people, like, it's a good thing. That's a great thing, but you're never going to get a good look. So I've never been the guy who thinks you only need to train at one gym. I believe that you can literally just, hey, I need somebody new to look at. Give me a different style. That way, if you do a sparring round, you have no idea who this brand new person is getting ready. And that's how it's going to be with Mathetha. Like, you can watch all the tape you want, but you never truly know what kind of fighters didn't go in until you finally get into the cage and get locked in there. So I don't really do too much video hunting on my opponents. That's I'll watch a few videos. That's it. But for the most part, I just got to keep training and visualize the fight, how I see it going, and then make that game plan work.
Oh, what is kind of the goal for you then this year? Like, you kind of talked about it, want to be as active as possible. Like, ideal, like, kind of last 5 months of the year. Like, what's kind of the ideal goal for you?
I'd like to get 3 or 4 fights. That's still the goal. I mean, I want to get 3 or 4 fights in. If they give me a 5th fight within that time frame, I'd be happy. But yeah, I definitely want to fight as much as I can.
And just last thing, I know your brother's fighting again soon. Like, are you guys hoping to be able to share a card again in the UFC, or is that kind of, if it happens, it happens, but it's not really something you guys are going to be going after?
I mean, we'd love to. It's not every day that siblings, share a card. Not all the time that they are willing to either. So we'd be willing to for sure. So hopefully like I said, get a good win on this, and then try to convince them to put me on the same card as my brother.
Well, Orion, I appreciate the time. Thank you so much for doing this.
Awesome. Thank you, Cole. It was a pleasure.